Well, thank you, everybody, for choosing to spend some of your Tuesday morning with me. And welcome to the Back to School, Back to Scrapping 2012 Fall Organization Challenge. I've been teaching these challenges now for almost 2 years, and they're just a blast for me to teach. I have a great time with them, and we've gotten just a really great response from people being able to really apply the principles that we talk about in the challenges, not only their scrapbook rooms, but kind of to their lives in general. So thanks for joining me, and I feel really confident that you'll get a lot out of this series. Just a couple of things about the webinar before, about how it works. You can't actually see me. The webinar isn't sophisticated enough to see video of me while we're watching the PowerPoint presentation. So you'll just hear my voice, and you'll watch the slides change on the screen. This session is being recorded. It'll be downloaded and posted up on the website and on YouTube after the challenge. So if at any point you want to go back and rewatch something or fast forward through something, all of that will be available, and we'll talk about how to get to that later in the challenge. There is an option for you to ask questions. There's a little question pane on your screen, and you can type in a question at any time through the presentation, but I won't see it until the end. And so at the very end of the presentation, I will go through and answer all of those questions at the end of the presentation. So if I don't respond to your question right away, just know that I will get to it at the end. With this presentation, I'm going to go through the Get Ready to Get Organized challenge, and then at the end, I will do a presentation on the Scrap Rack product line. So anybody that's looking for organization tools or has questions about the Scrap Rack product line, I don't actually address those questions during the webinar, but I will stick around after the webinar and do a presentation on the Scrap Rack and answer all your questions about that in particular. So welcome, everybody. There's still people jumping on. My attendee list keeps growing and growing every second, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. So welcome to the Get Ready to Get Organized challenge. Let's talk about organization as a definition. So if you check your definition or check your dictionary, you'll find something like this. Organization is to put together into an orderly, functional, structured whole. Now, oops, I'm a little quick on the click there. That word whole is really important because we tend to, with scrapbooking or paper crafting of any kind, card making, rubber stamping, we tend to containerize our supplies and not really think about them as a whole thing, but think about them as individual things. Stickers are separate from stamps. Stamps are separate from die cuts. Die cuts are separate from embellishments, all of those kind of things. And really, when we talk about getting the most out of our craft supplies, whatever type of craft you're doing, the more that you can keep together, the more things that you use together, that you keep together, the better off you're going to be. Now, when we talk about getting ready to get organized, one of the things that happens with organization is that we bite off more than we can chew. We take on too big of tasks, and so all those resolutions that we might have had to get something organized, we end up sort of getting buried in the details of it. Life gets overwhelming or whatever, and so we sort of lose focus on those different things. Now, I guess I should also say, I'm sorry, I'm going to just take a little side trip here. There is a handout for this class that you can download off the website. And if you haven't had a chance to do that yet or you don't know where to find it, I'll go into the website and show you during the presentation so you can find that handout. So if that helps you to follow along, it's definitely there. So what happens with our goals to get organized is that there's a lot of things, and it happens with goals in general. These are things you can apply to any kind of goal that you're setting for yourself. We set goals that are too big, life gets stressful, and our willpower goes out the window. Setbacks happen, and we're not really planned for them, so they just kind of get in the way. And one of the things you can do to really help yourself move forward with any kind of goal is establish a connection to that goal, and it's best if it's some type of emotional connection. This is your big benefit to completing the goal. So one of our things in this webinar is to figure out for yourself what is that big benefit. So here's a couple of posts of big benefits that were benefits for me or benefits for other people that took the challenge series. So things like, I'll be able to use my crafting materials joyfully and without frustration. I'll be able to spend my money more wisely. I'll feel comfortable having friends over to scrap. There's tons of different things that are benefits, and they're different for everybody, but I'm really going to encourage you as part of this very first challenge to establish what your big benefit is, and then I want you to set yourself up for success by deciding on what your goal is, writing it down. Here's the big thing, ladies. I'm sorry, there might be some men out there too. So listeners, here's the big thing, listeners. A goal, my mantra for last year was goals not put to paper are seeds without soil. You really need to write those goals down. You're going to hear me talk about goals and the importance of writing them down all the way through this. And you just need a little goal. What is your goal for getting organized? I want you to write it down, hang it up somewhere where you can read it so that you're setting yourself up for success with this challenge. So set your goal, write it down, hang it up, recruit a friend. If you can tell a friend that you're going to do this and will they do it with you, it really helps to keep you motivated if somebody else is on board with you and you've kind of got that little challenge going on. Tell anyone who will listen. I had the comment, I think I responded back to someone who asked me about my book. So when I decided to write a book and I set that goal, I told as many people as I could because then people would check back with me and I would feel like a little bit of extra pressure to actually get it done and follow through with it, whatever I had done. Getting a buy-in is really important. So if there's somebody in your life that's going to distract you from your task at hand, make sure you get the buy-in from those people, and we will talk a little bit about that as well. And then defining your big benefit is really important. So once you've established your big benefit, it's going to be easier to move on. Success with small goals will motivate you to stay focused. Now, I don't know if you've all heard of Dave Ramsey. He's a financial guy, and he encouraged people to pay off their smallest bills first. And it sounds kind of crazy, and all the financial wisdom in the world says pay off the bills with the highest interest rate first. But Dave Ramsey said don't do that. Pay off your smallest bills first because you're empowered when you've met a goal, when you see the success. And so paying off the small bills first empowered people to keep moving forward and be more and more successful. So small goals are really, really important because once you accomplish those, you feel better about what you're doing and you see that success and it's easy to keep going. So all the way through this whole series, we're going to talk about small goals and doing small things, and they're going to turn into really big things. So one of the things you need to do is to make yourself a big benefit board. So the big benefit for me, this is my big benefit board, and all it was a 12 by 12 layout rewarding me for every challenge that I had completed. And so this is your way of staying rewarded for the next 8 weeks as you've completed each of the challenges. So I just left that little square next to the number blank, and that way when I had completed the challenge and done my reward, I could just check it off. And when I finished the challenge, I had a 12 by 12 layout I could kind of trim up and put into my scrapbook. So I could kind of chart my progress through the whole situation. So here's just some highlights off my big benefit board. But it's really important that those benefits are something that are really important to you. So take some time and figure out what they are and how they're going to work for you, and make sure that they're motivational to you. Now, if you haven't joined the Facebook challenge group, the Facebook challenge group is a great place to go and get suggestions. There's over 3,000 crafters on the challenge group who have all done this, and they have great ideas about how to reward yourself. So if you're kind of stumped, feel free to use them as a resource for that account. One of the really clever things that I thought one of the gals had done is she put a little envelope, or 8 little envelopes, and then on cards she wrote what the rewards were, and then she gave the cards to a friend who scrambled them all up and put them in the envelopes, and then each time she had finished the challenge, she got to open that envelope and be surprised with what her reward for the week was going to be. But make sure there are things that are important to you. Now, I mentioned earlier about getting the buy-in, right? So if you look at the picture on the left side at the bottom, it's a little hard to read maybe on your screen, but it says, my reward for challenge number 1 is take London out for coffee. And reward for challenge number 2, have a ping pong and pizza night with Max. So that's how I was getting the buy-in from my 2 children, right? So London loves to go out for coffee. So I thought, okay, so and I like to go with London too, and we play cribbage, and it's really fun. But so I thought I have to set up these challenge rewards so that the kids are going to get some benefit to seeing me be successful. And so this was a way for me to say when London or Max wanted to bother me, hey, as soon as I get this done, we're going to go out for coffee. And with Max, as soon as I get this done, we're going to have ping pong and pizza night. So if your rewards if it works out to incorporate those people who otherwise might be a distraction or a hindrance instead of a help, make sure you include them in your reward structure, and it'll be more fun for everybody. Okay, so now we need to lay the groundwork for our organization and system, and that's what this first webinar is all about, is getting ready to get organized. So at the end of the webinar, you should understand how the 4-section system works and how to apply it to your room or space, and we'll get into all of these things. Know what it means to gather all of your supplies together, understand how to write a themes index, understand what it means to purge, and this is a big one. Understand the importance of storage tools and space and how you're going to use both of those things effectively and efficiently. So step 1, what is the 4-section system? The 4-section system is a guidepost for where you will put things away and a map or plan that you can always follow. One of the things that happens with organization is, or with storing our craft supplies, is that we put them away in places that look good or make sense in the moment, but they're not tied together mentally. There's no actual system. There's no path for our brain to follow, essentially, to find your stuff. And so the 4-section system really addresses this as a major problem with organization, because you rely on your brain for 2 major pieces of information, right, when you're crafting. First thing you do is ask yourself, do I have whatever product it is? Do I have red brads? And your brain says, yes, you have red brads. And then you ask your brain, where are the red brads? And your brain says, I'm sure they're in that room over there, but I know it'll be way faster to run up to Michael's and buy some more. So it's really important that it's easy for your brain to not only know that you have it, but to also direct you to where it is. And that's what the 4-section system is going to do for you. So what the 4-section system does is group your supplies into 4 major categories. First category, section 1, is alphabets, numbers, and punctuation marks. So anything that has to do with tags, titles, or journaling that's alphanumeric and not theme specific belongs in that first section. Your second section is themes A to Z, and that's all the things that you scrapbook about organized alphabetically. A for animals, B for baby, beach, birthday, whatever it is. Your third section is the calendar year, and that's where you put all of your holiday and seasonal materials, and they just follow along with the months of the year. And the final section is the rainbow. The rainbow is where you put everything grouped together by color that doesn't fit into one of the first 4 categories. Now, the theme section is going to be different for everybody in here, and it's going to be different, or everybody in here, everybody listening, I guess. It's going to be different on a number of levels. First of all, there's so many different things to scrapbook about, depending on what your friends or family are interested in and what you're doing in your free time and what you do for work. There's all kinds of different categories. So that's obviously going to be different. But it's also going to be different with what each of you calls each category. For example, some people put animals under A for animals. Some people put animals under P for pets. Some people put animals under Z for zoo or F for farm or whatever it is. So while you all might have an animal category, it might be called something different. The most important thing is that it's called whatever you will remember it's called. So you have to make those sorts of decisions on your own and go with your gut so that you'll remember them. Really common question about the calendar year is, why do I need a calendar year? Why can't I put fall under F and Halloween under H and back to school under S or whatever you want to do? But the problem with that is all of those things, fall, Halloween, Thanksgiving, share products, right? So leaves and trees and acorns and pumpkins and all of that big harvest moon, all of those things can work in your fall pages, your Halloween pages, your Thanksgiving pages. And if they're spread out under H for Halloween and T for Thanksgiving and F for fall, then you're not going to see all of those things together at the same time. So you're not going to get the highest and best use out of all of those products. The other thing is that when you go to a crop and you want to work on your Halloween pages or your Thanksgiving pages, now you have to remember that you have your stuff spread out in those themes category under H for Halloween and T for Thanksgiving and F for fall, and you have to pull things from 3 different categories. Whereas you keep holiday and seasonal materials together, if you're going to go to a crop or a class and you're going to work on that theme, it becomes much easier to take things that are grouped together. So this goes back to that original comment I made about keeping things together you would use together. So as we go through this process of sorting, storing, and organizing your supplies, the important question that you want to ask yourself is, am I keeping things together I would use together? And you'll find that that's a really good tool for sort of gauging where things belong and where they're going to be the most useful. So one really important thing about this whole system is there is no miscellaneous. It just doesn't exist. So I don't want you to, in the themes A to Z, add a category right in the middle, M for miscellaneous. It doesn't exist. When it comes to organization, everything is going to have a home, and you're going to have a place to put it where you can actually find it, so that you're not digging and searching through your M for miscellaneous category at any point in this process. So, okay, so that's the 4-section system. And I'm going to refer you to a video about the 4-section system or an article about the 4-section system later at the end of the webinar, so you can really get more details about that. Also, again, I just want to mention the Facebook group is an excellent resource, and you can always email us at customerservice@thescraprack.com, and we're happy to help you with that too. So step 1 is learn about that 4-section system. Step 2 is to create a themes index, and the themes index is going to guide you through the process of organizing your supplies. So you need to write a themes index and put it into alphabetical order. Your themes index is going to be your guide through much of the organization process. So it needs to be alphabetized, and it needs to be the things you scrap about or the things you think you scrap about. I would recommend creating it on the computer because it's easier to alphabetize than you do it on the computer. There's that mantra again, keep things together I would use together. This might mean that you need to combine your categories. And use the Facebook group to get ideas for your themes list. So in this next slide, I'm going to show you. In this next slide, I'm going to show you how to find the Facebook group. Now, the Facebook group is called the 2011 Get Organized Challenge Group, and I think I opened it on my computer right here so I could show you where it is. So when you go into Facebook, the group you want to join is the 2011 Get Organized Challenge Group, and you can search that group. There's also a link to it on the website, and I'll show you where that is as well. But if you go into this up here where it says Files, all the ladies, well, there's a couple guys too, all the people who have taken the Get Organized Challenge have created lots of information, and a lot of the things we talk about, they've already created documents or lists. So if you go into Files, then you can see what's already been created. So if you need to jumpstart your themes list, if you just scroll down through the files, you're going to find a themes list right here, and you can click on that. And this is a number of people who have put in their actual themes list that they use. So this will really help you sort of jumpstart your themes list and give you kind of some good ideas of what other people are using. So feel free to jump into that group and get that information. So here's just a basic idea of a themes list also. It's just kind of going to give you some of the sort of general ideas that might be out there. Whoops, the clicker's backing up on me. Okay, so number 1 is learn about the 4-section system. Number 2 is write your themes list. And number 3 is gather together. And gather is a word that you're going to hear in every one of the challenges. So gather items that are floating around your work area. There might be piles of leftovers from your last project, shopping bags from last convention you attended, things tucked into a closet or the trunk of your car, old crop totes that have never been unpacked. And all of these things need to come together in one area in your home. So whether you have a room or you're putting things in boxes and putting them in a closet, or you have a corner of the living room, or whatever it is, try to go around and gather up all of these loose pieces and get them all together in one place. And there's a couple of reasons to do this. First of all, if it's all in one place as you're working through the rest of the challenges and actually doing the physical task of organizing, it's a little bit easier to tackle that pile, and it's easier to see what that pile consists of. Also, when you're working through a project and you keep finding more around the house, it adds to that sense of being overwhelmed. And when you get overwhelmed, it's hard to stay focused. I'm sure all of you have had that experience where you think you're going to take on whatever the task it is, and halfway through it or just into it, or at some point you're just overwhelmed with the amount of work that you have to do, and you kind of shut down. It's hard to stay on task. So this will kind of help you eliminate that. So if you go around the house and try and find everything and pull it together, that's really going to be helpful at this stage. Prepare to purge is step number 4. And for a lot of people, just the idea of purging their craft supplies gives them a stomach ache. But it's really important, because I know that there is stuff in your craft area that you will never use. And you probably know it too. So it's really important to get rid of stuff you're not going to use, because, first of all, the stuff that you're not going to use takes up a lot of space. It takes up time. It causes you frustration. It costs you money and storage tools. Maybe you're burying things that you would use, so now you're not using supplies you would love to use. There's all these reasons to get rid of the stuff that you're not using. So really important to do it. So the first thing you need to do before you purge is identify what kind of crafter you are. And so take a few minutes and think to yourself, what kind of crafter am I? If you are the cutting edge, latest and greatest, only want to use the new stuff kind of crafter, then you can easily set some dates for yourself or some timelines for how long you've had stuff, and get rid of anything that's older than that, or that's really trendy, that was bought, you know, a year ago or 2 years ago, whatever you are. If you're sort of a classic conservative crafter that just uses mostly different colors of paper, and you're not really heavy into trendy and, you know, fashion stuff, and you're going to be able to purge it a little bit differently. But it's important to know who you are and what kind of products you will use. Now, practicing purging is really important, just like practicing anything else. So once you identify the kind of scrapbooker or crafter that you are, then, or that you want to be, I guess, then you have to practice being that. And practicing being that literally makes you into that. So if you want to be the kind of crafter that only uses the latest and greatest stuff, then you have to practice being that crafter by getting rid of stuff that's not the latest and greatest. If you are the kind of crafter who says it's really important to me is that I get 6 pictures on every page or 12 pictures on every page and I'm using less of whatever else, you just have to figure out who you are or who you want to be and then practice being that. And purging is an important part of it. Getting rid of things that you won't use, things that you don't like anymore, things that you're not excited about, whatever it is. I think that most of us, if we took a look around our craft rooms, we could say, even if I got to scrapbook every day for the rest of my life and I never bought another thing, I would have plenty of things to keep crafting the whole time with. So if you like to continue to buy new things and add cool things to your collection and enjoy that whole part of this hobby that is shopping and spending time with friends and picking out new things, then you want to make sure that you're using things efficiently and that you're not sitting on things that you'll never use. Now, I will tell you, my little caveat here is that once you get organized and once we go through this process over the next 8 weeks, your things are going to be so much easier to find that the time you spend crafting is going to be so much more productive. That's one thing. The other thing is, because things are easier to find, you're a lot more likely to use more stuff for other things. What does that mean? That's kind of a confusing sentence. What that means is, right now, if it's somebody's birthday in your house, and it takes you 15 minutes to find a birthday sticker or a birthday rub-on, you're probably not going to go to the trouble of getting that birthday sticker and putting it on their lunch bag or sticking it to their napkin or putting a rub-on a coffee cup or a milk glass that says happy birthday or you are special today or whatever it is, because it's just too much. It takes too much time to do it. But when you can go in and use the 4-section system and say, hey, it's a birthday, what can I put on my son's waffle plate this morning, and flip to a sticker page and find really cool birthday stickers. You can ring the whole plate with birthday stickers, maybe stickers you would have never used on a page, or they're kind of outdated or whatever. But you're able to use those things more quickly and more easily just because you can put your hands on them. So there's a lot of big benefits to getting organized. Actually, if you read my blog post this last week, that's kind of what I posted about. The more a benefit of being organized was being able to do things on the fly. And so the project that I posted was just taking a picture frame and turning it into a serving tray. And that would allow you, especially with the holidays coming, to create some quick layout underneath the glass of this picture frame. So if you're going to an event at school, you could put pictures of the kids in your son or daughter's class. Or if you're going to a cocktail party with friends, you could put, thanks for inviting me to the cocktail party, in the under the glass of the tray. And those things are only possible. That's sort of what I call crafting on the fly, when you can actually get to your supplies and it's quick and easy. So there's a little post that up on the blog. I'll show you where the blog is in case you're interested in reading it. When we get to the website, I'll show you that. So back to purging, sorry. So you need to set a goal, there's that G word again, of how much you'll purge and when it will leave your home. And both of those things are really important. So you might say, I'm going to purge 1 inch for every year I've been scrapbooking. You might say, okay, I'm going to purge 10 pounds, or I'm going to purge 3 pounds, or whatever it is. But whatever amount you feel like you should be purging out of your collection, you want to set that goal. And then you want to find a place to donate or sell your purge. Making it personal really helps. So I made a donation to somebody at a hospital that I had a connection with. I didn't actually know the person, but there was a connection there. So it was really easy for me to purge a lot of stuff when I went through that process, because I felt really good about where it was going. So that's one of the things that I find is really helpful for people. If they know where the purge is going, or they have a connection, they're far more likely to actually get rid of more of the things they're not going to use. The other thing is, some people have a problem with purging because they feel like it's wasteful, right? So I want you to think about this. If wastefulness is your concern, you've already spent the money. So essentially, if you've got a product that you've been looking at for 5 years that you're never going to use, you can consider that that money has already been wasted. Now you're wasting your time looking, digging past it. You're wasting space storing it. You're wasting energy, again, digging past it or moving it around your room. And it's sort of burning up your good creative juices just because it's a cause of frustration. So try to think about it in that realm, that if you bag it up and sell it on eBay, and we've had people who bag their supplies up and sell them by the pound on eBay, or bag it up and sell it at the local scrapbook store, garage sale, or whatever, put it on Craigslist or whatever you use, then you're going to be able to recoup some of that money. If you make a donation, then you're going to be able to get a tax write-off for that money. So there's a lot of really different options there, but try to keep in mind that the less you have, the more you'll use, and the easier it will be to use. So purging is really, really important in this phase. Some rules for purging to help you. When something goes into your purge box, it doesn't come out. If your gut reaction is, what was I thinking when I bought this? It goes into the purge box. If you look at something and you ask yourself, should I put this in the purge box? The answer is yes. If there's a question in your mind, it's going to go into the purge box. From this point forward, your purge box should be a permanent fixture in your craft area. So even after we go through the purging process and you donate that purge, or you throw it away or put it in the recycle bin or whatever, if you can leave your purge box in your craft area all the time, whenever you come across something you'll never use, maybe it's outdated, maybe it's baby things, and your kids are grown now, and the baby set, and it's not hip anymore or whatever, you can throw it right in that purge box. If the purge box is available, it makes it really simple to actually put that item in the purge box instead of thinking to yourself, I'll get to that later, or next time I'll put it in the purge box or whatever. So I'm going to strongly recommend that you keep that purge box as a permanent fixture in your craft area. Now, if you look in my craft area, I have a purge box that's just, it's a tall, narrow box. It's a paper storage box, actually, And so it doesn't take up very much room, and it's under my desk. And so think about those things too. What you don't want to do is put some great big purge box somewhere that you constantly have to be moving around, and it's a nuisance. So if you can make it small but easily accessible, and I think there's some pictures on the website of mine. There's definitely some pictures on the blog, I believe. But it's just a small, narrow paper storage box, and it works great. And then I'm not tempted to, keep things or not get rid of things that I'm not going to use. So it really does make it simple when you have it there. Same thing with a general purge box in your home. If you have a box or a basket or something for donations to the Goodwill and it's somewhere easily accessible, your front hall closet or your laundry room, when you come across things, and I say laundry room because I have 2 boys who grow every minute, every time I pull something out of the washer and I go, this is probably too small for Max now or too small for London, that Goodwill box is right there in the laundry room, so it goes right into the Goodwill box. When the box is full, I'm able to take it out the door with me. There's a Goodwill actually near the office, and then I can just drop it off on my way. But when you make things easy, if you keep it easy, then you're going to follow through with it and actually get it done. So permanent purge box is a huge recommendation. And if you don't have a permanent purge box for the Goodwill in your home, you might want to start one of those too. Step number 5, storage tools and space and understanding the importance of them. So the most important aspects of storage are visibility and accessibility, right? You want to be able to see what you have, and you want to be able to get to it easily. So when we look at a lot of the scrapbook rooms that we see in magazines in January, which is traditionally the organization issue for everybody, we see these beautiful rooms that are gorgeous with all these, really cute and colorful boxes or bins or drawers or totes or whatever they are. And it looks really neat and tidy, but first of all, many times things aren't visible at all. And if they are visible, sometimes they're not accessible. So we've seen those rooms where all around the top of the room on a shelf that's 7.5 feet high, there's jars of buttons and flowers and ribbon, and it's really pretty and really colorful. But in order to get to those jars of buttons or flowers or ribbons, you have to haul out a step ladder and climb up and get the jar and bring it down, and take the things out of the jar and leave the jar open on your desk. And then when you're done, you have to put everything that you didn't use back in the jar and climb the ladder again and put it away. I'm not saying don't have a cute room. I think a cute room's great. My scrapbook room I think is really cute, and it's fun to be in there. But I'm just saying when you're organizing your supplies, they need to be visible and accessible. So you might have the jars as decorations, but if you can get your supplies into something more accessible and more visible and at your fingertips, it's going to make it a lot easier. Put some thought into your space. These are all things that you need to do over the course of the next week. How will you store things so they're more visible and accessible? So if you have cabinets or cupboards, this could mean removing the cupboard doors or adding shelves. What type of tools are you using? Are you using a scrap rack or binders or file folders or large Ziploc type bags? One of the things I stress through this whole series is that the tools are not as important as the system, but you do need to be able to get your hands on things quickly and easily. So there's a number of tools that you can use, but what you don't want to do is bury or hide things. You want to have things visible and accessible so you can put your hands on them quickly and easily. So I'm going to, that's this week's challenge. I'm going to go back here to the website and just show you a couple of things on the website. If you're considering making changes to a room and you just want some ideas, if you click on this picture right over here, this is actually my scrapbook room. So the picture on the right side of the website, and this is just the scrapback.com. When you first get to the scrap, I should start there. So I'm going to change my screen here. Bear with me. Sorry about that. When you log into the scrapback.com, it's going to look like this. And if you just click on the big logo in the middle, it'll take you into this page. And if you click on the room over here with the desk in it, it'll take you through the whole process of creating that room and give you some insight into what I was thinking and why I wanted to do things the way that I did them and the tools that I used. So a lot of times we create these big rooms and they're just too big and things are too spread out, which means you're constantly wandering around the room looking for things. So with this room, one of the things that I did was I took the desk and I pulled it into where those cabinets were so that I created this little small square of workspace for myself. and so it makes it really easy to put my hands on anything. But each of the captions under the picture will take you through. So if you have questions about a room or space that you're using, this will sort of give you some of what I was thinking when I went through and redid this room. Now, the other thing is when you're on the website, if you click up here in the upper right-hand corner where it says Tiffany's blog, that'll take you to the blog post that I kind of mentioned, so you can just scroll through. But this is the one about converting the tray into a serving tray where you can put some pictures in the bottom or use your crafting supplies to create something under that frame really quickly and easily. So that'll get you into the blog if you have questions about that. Okay, so let's go back here to from current slide. And let's go on to finish up. What is your challenge for this week? So the first thing you want to do this week is use your craft supplies to create a big benefits reminder and a rewards list for each of the 8 challenges you'll complete. Hang it up where you'll see it every day. Now, some people don't make a layout for this and don't do a really fancy reward board. I've seen people just with a piece of notebook paper tacked on a bulletin board. We had one gal who just wrote her challenge rewards up on a big whiteboard. Whatever you want to do, you just have to get it in writing and get it up somewhere where you're going to see it every day. I want you to read the 4-section system article on the Scrap Rack website. Email us if you have any questions or visit the Facebook challenge group to get quick answers. And so I'll go back here again to the website and show you where that article is. So from the Scrap Rack website, if you click on the Learn tab, and then you can scroll down here to articles and instructions and the 4-section system of scrapbook supply organization. And if you just click on that, there's a little video there if you want to watch the video, and then it takes you through actually the process and what those categories look like and how they're divided up. So it's going to give you a little bit more details if you go scroll down, and then the video, of course, also. You can go with either thing. So your goal then is to watch the video or read the article, create your themes list, gather your supplies together in your room or space, set your purge goals, get a purge box, find a home for your purge, where will you send it, take it, etc. Evaluate your space for visibility and accessibility, make changes and prepare the space for your supplies. And again, going through that thing on our website with My Room will kind of help you maybe answer some questions or whatever, but the Facebook group is really a great resource as well. Join the Facebook group, that's one of the things here, and complete the Set Yourself Up for Success checklist on page 3 of the workbook. So there's just a little quick checklist. It was part of the presentation, but you can go through the workbook and check that off. So that brings me back to the workbook itself. So let's take another quick look here at the website. This block here on the left side, 2012 Back to School, Back to Scrapping, Get Organized Challenge, is where you're going to find all the information and all the postings from this point forward about the challenge. So if you just scroll down through there, you're going to see the first thing that you want to do, if you haven't already done it, is right in the middle of my screen, and it says download the 2012 Fall Back to School, Back to Scrapping Workbook. So if you just click on that, you're going to get a load screen for a couple of seconds while it loads up, and then it'll look just like this, and it just has all the challenges posted there. If you haven't updated your Adobe Reader in a while, you probably need to do that. If you have trouble, you can email us at customerservice@thescraprack.com, and we can help you either with a link to your Adobe Reader or with a link to the actual the workbook itself. Join the Get Organized Challenge group, and so again, you can just click on the link right there, and that'll take you to the Get Organized Challenge group. We'll send out periodic emails with updates and information about what happened during the challenge, and so you want to make sure that your email address stays current so that you get those emails. But again, all of the information from the challenge you're going to be able to find right here. So right under this heading where it says Webinar Schedule and Topics, it gives you some information about the things we talked about today. The 4-section system article, there's a link there. And then the scrapbook room, there's a link there. And right underneath where it says in purple, See Tiffany's Scrapbook Room, that's where the video will be posted from today's session. And so each week after the session, we'll download the video, and it'll be posted right there under the date, and we'll add other links and stuff right there under the date as well. So getting the information that you need for the next challenge is always going to be right here on this page. So it's just this very top link. You click on it, and it's going to take you exactly where you need to go. So it makes it really simple, and it's all on one page for you. And there'll be links in the emails and stuff too. Okay, so that's your challenge those are your challenges for this week, and that is spelled out in the workbook as well. So if you haven't had a chance to download it, you can download the workbook and get that information there. Now, I also will download the PDFs for the presentation and post those also, so you can actually get the slides that you've seen as for this challenge or any other challenge, and they're posted about the same time that the video goes up. So those are your goals for the week. Now, what I want you to keep in mind is about how your brain works. So I know there are several of you on board today who have taken the challenge before, and you've heard my little lecture about the elephant and the rider, but I can't stress enough how we get overwhelmed with these huge tasks, and then once we're overwhelmed, we shut down and they never get done. One of the reasons that happens is we try to do things when we're exhausted mentally. And so if you think about your brain as an elephant and a rider, you know, you see those little guys in India, these little people riding these huge elephants and controlling these huge elephants. And if you think about your brain that same way, that the rational brain is the rider and the elephant is the emotional brain, as long as that rider's alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic, and fresh, he can control that elephant, no problem. But once your rational brain gets exhausted, the elephant sort of takes off on his own and does whatever he wants to do, or he might even just shut down on you. So try to, when you get exhausted or tired or you feel frustrated or you just can't make a decision about something, you're looking at a sticker and you're like, where does this go? And that sticker becomes a major decision. It's time to walk away from the task. So one of the things we're going to talk about is doing things in small pieces. For some people, that's a little bit frustrating in and of itself. Like, I don't want to do it small. I want to do the whole thing at one time. And truthfully, some people can power through that. They have the life and the time and the space or whatever. But most of us need to work through things in these little slow blocks. So if you don't have all the time in the world to get your stuff organized, I think you'll find this really beneficial. And if you are somebody who wants to do it all at once, which we've had quite a few people do, my best suggestion for you is to watch or listen to each webinar for the 8 weeks. And at the end of the 8 weeks, then do your power project and get everything organized, because you'll have a big picture. One of the values of the challenges that we talk about paper and stickers and embellishments and photos and memorabilia and journaling notes and Cricut cartridges and rubber stamps and inks and chalks and pens and all of those things, and even going to crop. And so if you're going to do a power project, if you watch all 8 challenges first, then you can power through with the big picture of what the goal is at the end of the challenge series. So I hope that makes sense to all of you. So again, these are just general links and intro, but we kind of went through all of those things, the 4-section system article and how to email us and all those goodies. So your challenge this week is to get yourself organized and ready for your next challenge. Oops, my screens are skipping ahead of me here. So that's the end of the Get Organized Challenge portion of the presentation. So I'll take a few minutes now and go through and explain what the scrap rack is and how the scrap rack works and what the components of it are, so that if that's something that you're considering buying, or if it's something that you already own and you're not quite sure, you have questions about it, this little section right here will answer those questions. Now, before I start on that, I'm going to go ahead and open my question pane for people who have asked questions about the challenge, and then once I answer those questions, I'll actually get into that process. So I'm going to scroll up here to the top. I don't know if you guys can see the question pane or not, but we got a lot of people checking in from different areas. We've got people who've been I was one of the first participants, Lucy McKenzie says. Dana says, are we supposed to be hearing birds? No. Does anyone else have something flashing on the screen? So depending on the type of computer you use, now GoToWebinar told me this problem was fixed with the flash. That's a GoToWebinar problem, and it's just as things load on my screen, it takes longer for that load to get to you. So I apologize for that. I just checked with them this week, and they told me that was all fixed. Amy says, you said tags are in section 1. I have packs of vellum words that are quotes, and also one pack is baby related. Do I put that in section 1, or do I put the baby ones in baby and general ones in section 1? I would appreciate your input on this. Thanks. I'm sorry, when I said tags, what I meant was, I'm glad you asked that because I wasn't very clear. Anything that has to do with tags, titles, and journaling. So not the physical tags themselves. The tags are going to go, if they're themed tags, like a baby print tag or whatever, that's going to go in baby. I was more speaking about like alphabet letters and things that you would use to create a tag. Maybe that's a thanks or, you know, Merry Christmas or whatever, that the letters for the tag would actually go on there. So anything that has to do with writing might be a better way to say that, would go in that first section. And then with tags, if they're specific, like you said, vellum words that have quotes on them. Now, I have words, a lot of times the words go with a specific thing. So you'll buy a pack of vellum quotes, and they're all about boys, or all about family, or all about Christmas, right? They're going to go in that section, family, boys, Christmas, whatever they are. If you have a generic sort of motivational sayings or pretty little poems or whatever, I have a section in my themes, A to Z. It's under W, and it's WOW, Words of Wisdom, and that's where I put really general sayings. So most of the time, if you have a saying or a poem or something, it's specific to a theme, and that's where you're going to put it. If you've got things that are general, I put all of mine under Words of Wisdom, and then when I'm looking for a little filler material or a little special something, then I can go there and I can see all of those different sort of words or whatever that are pretty generic. So, and then of course, if your tags are just solid colors, then they're going to go in the rainbow section. Thank you for asking about that. Karen has posted up the actual link to the 2011 challenge here, but I can't, unfortunately, the way this program's set up, I can't resend it out to everyone. So, Bratton says, I have a ton of ribbons. So far they have 3 drawers. How can I organize them? So ribbons are going to go by theme or color or calendar year. And so whether you use, and I'll show you the wraparound ribbon and fiber cards when we go through the Scrap Rack products, or some other tool, that's how you want to separate them. So rather than keeping them in drawers of ribbon, you want to put them in the theme or category where you're going to actually be able to use them. Shelly says, do you purge things that you plan to use for a layout or such but haven't gotten to that project for more than a year? Is it time to move on? And that's a great question, Shelly, and it's a great question because of knowing what kind of scrapbooker you are. So if you've had something around for a year or 2 years that you had in mind for a specific project and you've never gotten to that project, that's a great point for you to say to yourself, am I ever going to do this? Because if I'm not going to do it, I'm going to stop moving these things around. So I feel like all of us have enough projects that we could abandon probably 50% of our projects and still have enough projects to keep us busy for the rest of our lives. So just sort of prioritizing what's important to you. Are you really going to use it? And then if the answer is yes, I'm really going to do this, then get it on your calendar and make it a priority and set a goal for yourself. And there's that G word again. So just, you know, my goal is to finish that project, whatever it is, or to do that project on Friday, and stick that on your bulletin board and put it in your calendar for Friday. And sometimes it's just as simple as that, as saying, I'm going to do this, and this is the day and the time that I'm going to work on it. And just writing it down has a huge benefit to actually accomplishing things. And then you might say, no, I'm never going to do that. And then at that point, I would purge it. So evaluate who you are and how much time you've got, what the priority on it is. And if the priority is high enough and you have time, then schedule it. And if not, toss it with your purge. Is challenge on Facebook? And Libby asks, and I don't know exactly what that question means. Maybe it means will the video be posted on Facebook? And it will not, but I will post the link on Facebook as soon as the video is completed, and then it'll just take you back to the website. Diane says, how did your demo go in the store in Tacoma? It went great. We had a great time. My video camera ran out of video, but there is a YouTube post actually. If you want to tune in and watch it, the first half of the presentation we did at the store in Tacoma. It was really fun. It was just plain fun. There was many times Karen felt like she should have to stop the camera because we were goofing around and not actually getting anything done but having a good time. So it's definitely a fun watch. Is there a lot of difference between this is from Margaret, between the original workbook and the 2012 workbook? No, there are a few differences, but nothing major. The basic premise is the same. I've just added in a little bit more details here and there, things that were maybe kind of missing from the last one. I don't think anything's been taken out. The challenges tend to grow with information rather than shrink with information as we move along. So they kind of get bigger instead of small. So you should be fine, Margaret, but you're welcome to look at that other book too and maybe just download individual pages of it or whatever. Sandy asks, just got on the call and wondering what you meant in the guidelines when you said to check Facebook group files to set up my themes list. So I'm sure I probably already answered that question as I was rambling on there, but just in case, when you're setting up your themes list of all the things that you scrapbook about, the Facebook group ladies have already posted a bunch of the themes lists that they use. So if you need kind of a jump start to get yourself going with writing out that themes list, then if you go to that files page on the Facebook group, you'll be able to see what everybody else has already posted, and it'll give you kind of a little bit of motivation. Sandy says, I'm at work listening, so can't talk out loud. Let's see. Lucy says, I broke the zipper pulls on the travel pack. Do you have a solution? Yeah, you can just pick up a new zipper pull right at Joann's or any fabric store and just replace it. And they even have some decorative ones that you can just snap on there. Roseanne says, hi, Tiffany. This is my 4th time through, and I'm determined to get it done this time. Thanks for your great presentations. You're so welcome. I'm glad you could join us. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling through here pretty quickly, so let's see. Kelly says, I'm overwhelmed already. I have so much stuff. I don't think I can get it into one room, the new scrap room. Any suggestions for crazy people like me? Yes, and know that you're not alone, and know that the ladies on the Facebook group are an amazing, humorous support group. But it really is a process of taking those small challenges at a time. And so next week we're going to start with paper, and we're going to go through the process of organizing paper. And once you get those first 6 or 8 inches of paper organized and you see how well it works and how easy it is to follow through, then it makes it really easy to stay the course. So don't feel like you have to do it all in one 8-week period, especially, you know, the holidays are right around the corner, all that good stuff is coming up. But we've had gals like the gal before who mentioned that this is her 4th time through. So if you just keep working a little at a time, the beautiful thing about the 4-section system is once you understand it and you start using it, you don't have to be done to be using it. So if you set up your 4-section system, whether it's in binders or Ziploc bags or your scrap rack, and you go to the scrapbook store and buy new stuff, if it's Christmas stuff, you know you can go right to your scrap rack and put your Christmas stuff in the Christmas section. So just by getting that 4-section system in your head and in that space in your scrap room, then you're able to put new things away. Or if you find something, one little ballet sticker just sitting around somewhere, you can go right to your 4-section system and put it right away. So you right away, you're able to start putting onesies and twosies away as you come across them. And so you really see the benefits of using this 4-section system, and it kicks in almost immediately. So stay the course, Kelly. Use the support group on Facebook to sort of help and guide you and motivate you when you're feeling overwhelmed. But more than anything, don't feel like you have to do it all at once. Feel like you can work steadily through it. And there's lots of ladies who've done the challenge multiple times. So Rhonda says, I'm a confused ribbon hoarder, wondering how best to organize my ribbons, by color, theme, or something else. The store packaging takes up too much space. So you're going to organize your ribbons by color and by theme. So I was in Michael's yesterday, and they had this whole line of ribbons that were all back-to-school ribbons. So if you have ribbons with pencils and crayons and notebook paper and school buses, those all are going to go with your school, with your back-to-school section. For me, that's September. That's all the school stuff is in September. Or if you have Halloween ribbons, they're going to go into Halloween. But if you have red stripes and red dots and red plaid ribbon, those are going to go in the rainbow under red. So one of the things that I didn't really talk about, but that is that the industry has convinced us that we have to store all our ribbons together and all our brads together and all our eyelets together and all our stickers together, and that's really the worst possible way to store things. I'm going to bring this up later in the challenges, but I want you to think about your silverware drawer, right? So I keep saying keep things together you would use together, and the silverware drawer is the best possible example in most homes of this whole idea. So your silverware drawer has everything you need together to set the table. You kept it together. When it's ready to do the task, set the table, you can go to one place and get knives and forks and spoons and set the table. Now, in scrapbooking, what we would say to you is take your forks and put them in a basket, and take your spoons and put them in jars all around the ceiling, and take your knives and hang your butter knives on the wall, but store your steak knives in the window, whatever, and spread it all around the room. Well, that's ridiculous, right? Because when it's time to set the table, it would be a pain in the neck to round up everything all over the kitchen to set the table. So we're keeping things together we've used together. The other benefit to that silverware drawer is when you're emptying the dishwasher, you take your silverware basket and you go to one place and you put everything away quickly and easily. So if you can start to think about your supplies as a whole, remember that first word, rather than as individual components, and you're going to group them together with things that you would use them with, there's going to be all kinds of benefits to it. So try to think about that idea of keeping these together I would use together and making things easy for my brain to find. So when you think, I need to add red to this page, if you go to your red section and there's your red ribbon, or with your red brads and your red eyelets and your red flowers, now you're going to get so much more use out of all of those things because you see them all together rather than trying to remember what do I have that's red and digging and searching through boxes and bins and drawers and totes and jars and baskets. You're just going to go to your red section. So I hope that makes more sense there. Kind of got off on a little tirade. Lisa says, I love buying paper in a pad, like 200 sheets in a pad. Do you split those papers up into a rainbow and theme, or do you leave those papers as a pad, and then where do you keep them? So I hate to not answer your question, Lisa, but we're going to do paper next week. So I'll talk all about buying pads or stacks or collections of paper next week and how to put those things all together. Veronica says, I'm a bit confused by the themes index. Is it just a list of the themes we're organizing under, or is it a file we add to as we go? Thanks for the help. Right now, it's just a list, Veronica. It's probably going to turn into a file or a scrap rack or Ziploc bags or something like that. But right now, it's just gathering together a list of all the things that you think you scrapbook about. So when we start the sorting process, you can use that list as your guide as you're sorting. So for this week, it's just a list, but it's definitely going to evolve into something more. Linda says she doesn't have any pictures. Hopefully everybody else has pictures. So all you can see is my screen and my PowerPoint. So hopefully that's what you mean when you say you don't see pictures. So let's see. Betty Lynn says, what's a tag? I'm just talking about tags, just a regular piece of paper that's cut in a little shape of a tag, not anything crazy or technical. Terry White says, what would be the best storage tool to store 50 to 60 embossing folders in? Should they be stored together or stored according to themes? You're probably going to need to create a catalog for those, Terry. And again, I think embossing folders come up in challenge number. Let me look at my list here. They're going to come up in challenge number 6. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm withholding information. You can go on the website, and if there's something particular that you want to learn about, if you go, I'll click back into the website here and show you. I just don't have time to answer all those questions for individual things that are going to come up later today. But if you go into the website and you click on Overwhelmed to Organize Summer Challenge, and you scroll down to that, there's going to be the last series of presentations. They're also on Facebook. and you can watch a prior presentation about that particular thing. So if you feel like you want to jump ahead, you certainly can do that and jump ahead. The only caution I have for you about that is that the ideas that we talk about in each of these challenges build on the last week's ideas. So like this week we're laying the foundation for what you need to do, because next week we're going to start sorting paper, so you need to know your themes and all that kind of stuff in order to do that task. So none of it is rocket science, but there may be some stuff in there that doesn't make sense because it was in an earlier presentation. So, but you can jump ahead if you prefer and take a look at those things if you want. All right, next question. The flashing hasn't stopped. I mean, I'll have to call GoToWebinar and ask them more about that. Susan says, if we've taken this before, do we need to download the 4-section system? Has there been a lot of changes? There are no changes. The 4-section system has been the same for 10 years. The themes and, of course, the products that we use and that kind of stuff change, but the basic outline doesn't. So you're in good shape, Susan. Gail says, how much counter table space should you have for scrapping? Is there too much? I have several areas in my craft room and not sure whether I should purge them. I think as long as you have enough room to work comfortably, and that's a little bit different for everybody. I'm kind of a nut job about my scrapbooking space. So if you look at the website, and I'll click back there again so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll just reduce my screen here a little bit. When you go into my scrapbook room right here, I have to start with a clean slate. So before I have to work on a clean table. So you can see there's a little picture of me scrapbooking there, and you can see my actual workspace. That L-shaped desk is empty. And I always start with that L-shaped desk empty. And one of the premises of this whole design is that everything in my room is designed so that I can pick it up just by turning around in my chair and bring it to the table, and then I can put it back so that the area that I'm actually crafting in is really easy. It has lots of clean, empty space that's really easy to get to. Now, some people, that's just me. Some people have to craft in kind of a mess. It's inspiring to them, and it's warm and sort of embracing to them. So again, I'm going to just go back to the how know yourself as a crafter and what works for you. But for me, it has to start off nice and clean. So it just depends. Again, ask yourself, you know, what do I want to work in? How much space am I comfortable in? Or what's the perfect ideal for me? And also, here's another thing, leave yourself open to changes. Because you may think that you're a crafter that has to work in a clean space, and so you clean up all that space, and then you're like, oh, I don't really like this. I need more messy stuff or whatever. So don't get stuck. If you try something new and you don't love it, you can always change it again. So Patty says, Melanie says, I store my themes in 12 by 12 Sterilite drawer sets that I use as legs under my scrap table. As I need a theme, I take out the drawer and see and set it where it can be accessed. So kind of that same concept that I was just talking about. Yeah, you can pull that drawer out and put it on your table, and then you have all your stuff, and then you can put it away easily. So, but that same kind of idea of just being able to access that one theme and have everything for it. Patty says, great tips, looking forward to getting organized. Libby says, this is fantastic, thank you so much. Betty says, how do you ask questions? And all you have to do, Betty, is type it in. Elisa says, how do you store flowers, theme or color? And most of the time your flowers are just going to go in color because they're usually a solid color, or they might be kind of a mixed color or whatever. Rarely are they some sort of theme specific, so they're going to go in color. Linda says, if you're completing scrapbooks for grandchildren graduation, would you categorize as a theme, John, Joe, etc., or by actual theme? Excuse me. I would caution you against categorizing by people. Why is that? Because let's use the example of football. Let's say Joe plays football, right? So you buy all these football things and you put them in Joe's section. And then something else happens where you get invited to a Super Bowl party, and you need to either make a tag to go on your wine bottle that you're taking, or you're going to make a tray with your scrapbooking supplies, one of those frame trays, and put things for inviting me to the Super Bowl party, or go Seahawks, or whatever it is in that tray frame. And because you put your football stuff under Joe, your brain is going to look for football generally as a theme, right? Sports. And when you go to your sports section, maybe you have some football stuff there or maybe not, but you don't have all of it there. So you might miss out on an opportunity to use something from football because it's over in Joe's category. Now, in the reverse situation, when you're working on something for Joe and he's into football, then you'll always go to football and look for that. So I would avoid putting things by individual people, and I would keep them in main categories, because when you're working for the individual person, you'll go to the category, but when you're in the category, you may not remember to go to the individual person. So thank you for asking that question, Linda. Gail says, I'm hearing impaired and not capturing all the questions and answers. I think we can post the whole Q&A list of questions, Gail, and I'll try and do that. Darla says, if we can make the time set for the webinar, can we view it if we can't make the time? Yes, I'm going to post the recording, and you can view it when you want, as many times as you want. Let's see. It says lots of pics on the site of before and afters. And this is Lori's third time through. Margaret says, the solution to not being able to get your stash in your craft room is to buy a bigger house. That could be it, Margaret. But this webinar will definitely help you. Diane says, this is my third or fourth time through, too. Shelly says, hi, Shelly. Good to see your name pop up. Shelly says, themes, purge, goals, purge, donation options, and link to the 4-section system are all up on the Facebook page for quick reference. Great job, Shelly. Ladies, you will find that the Facebook group is really fast and really they're able to answer all kinds of questions, and even those gals that are on the Facebook group who sit through a webinar, like Shelly, who've done it before, while I'm talking, they'll actually go into the Facebook page and put up updates and tips and tricks and tidbits. It really is a great place to get quick info. So thank you, Shelly, for doing that. Liz says, just wanted to say thank you for a great system and product. This is my third or fourth time through, and each time I get further than the previous time before life gets in the way. Love, love, love the Facebook group, too. So just going back, I think it was Kelly who asked about being overwhelmed and having so much stuff. That really just kind of speaks to that of just working slowly through, and you just keep repeating the steps, the small steps, and pretty soon they turn into a big step. So let's see. Charlie, I teach at a local Joanne store. Sadly, I must be active in lots of crafts. And then she lists them. I'm so excited to hear your way of organizing. I can't wait to try scrapbooking first, as this is the biggest. Thanks so much for the direction, and love the way of thinking of eating the elephant a bite at a time. We'll keep you posted. Have a 25 by 25 studio I have to redo. Love hearing your support. Yeah, and Charlene brings up a great point. So all of those crafts are essentially the same when you think about the 4-step system, right? So if you're card making or jewelry making or whatever it is, you've got things that are themes and colors and all that stuff, and so you can really integrate a lot of, the Scrap Rack is actually called the Scrap Rack Multi-Craft, because you can really integrate, if you're a jewelry maker, all of your silver beads can get stored in your silver section, right? And then you might be able to use those beads on a card or on a scrapbook page or when you're making a pair of earrings, because when you're looking for something silver, you're going to go there and you're going to see those silver beads, essentially. So not only do you use more of scrapbooking or card making or whatever, once you start integrating all kinds of crafts into your 4-section system, you're going to be using things that were bought for a particular craft in other craft areas, and it's going to be faster and more efficient and all that good stuff. So there really are huge sort of extending benefits to getting your things organized. Denise says, how do you keep your ribbons from getting creases or wrinkles when they are in the scrap rack? It seems like stuffing them into compartments, they would get wrinkled. Is this the case? No, because you're not going to stuff them into compartments. There's just a couple of questions left here, but I'm going to jump ahead, and then I'll come back to the questions. But I'm going to click through here. We've had that ribbon question a couple of times, so I'm going to go through the Scrap Rack products, and it'll take us eventually to the wraparound ribbon and fiber board. So I see another post of Susan has a question about adhesives. And Susan, I think one thing, no, I'm sorry, I'm jumping on like a beach ball teacher today, just bouncing all around. Susan, I would look at putting my flat adhesives, my glue dots, my pop dots, the little felt squares, the sheets of adhesive into Scrap Rack pages. I think you're a Scrap Rack user. I recognize your name. And just tagging it adhesive. And then you can go to that section for those flat ones. And inside that section, you could also put a listing of the other types of adhesives that you have and what they work best for. And that would kind of help to answer that question. Like if you're looking for a ribbon adhesive, you might have something in there that says zip dry, great for ribbon and paper or whatever it is, so that you kind of have a reference point for that. Okay, so I'm going to jump into these slides of the Scrap Rack so that I can go through them, and that'll kind of answer some of the questions for people about things like ribbon storage. So this is the Scrap Rack Basic, and what it is a metal base unit that sits on your desktop at a 45-degree angle, and it has 7 3-ring sections. They're called spinders, and they hold all of your crafting supplies using storage pages. And our storage pages are a little bit unique. They're all 12.5 by 12.5. They're a little bit more roomy. But this product, the Scrap Rack, will hold anything that's a standard 3-hole punch. So whether it's Crop and Style, Creative Memories, or something from Office Depot, if it's got a standard 3-hole punch, it makes it really easy to integrate right into a Scrap Rack. And we'll see some pictures of it as we go. It's also expandable. So what you see here, sort of this little square in the front right side, is an expansion base, and you link your expansion base onto your original Basic, and the Basic has the wings. Now, there's a new video that just went up about the Scrap Rack Basic and how it works and how it goes together. So, again, if I pop back to the website, if you want to learn more about the Scrap Rack Basic, if you just go to the shopping pages here, Scrap Racks, and this little video right here, introducing the Scrap Rack Basic, that's going to take you through all the steps for the Scrap Rack Basic. I'm sorry, I'm trying to be economical with our time here. So that's the Scrap Rack base unit, and then the spinders, standard 3-hole punch. Each binder is going to hold 20 to 30 pages plus dividers. Single base unit will hold 7 to 9 spinders. The locking tabs at the end keep the rings locked tightly closed when they're on the base unit. Basic storage pages range from single pocket configuration up to 16 pockets. So you can see across the top, they go in order of the number of pockets. So the super single is 1 pocket, and then there's the double X, the triple play. In the middle, we have the Fantastic 4, which this works great for sheets of unmounted rubber stamps, like the Close to My Heart size collections of unmounted rubber stamps. Fantastic 5 also in the middle, and that's 5 pockets, 4 5x7 pockets, and 1 little tiny pocket in the middle. And then along the bottom, we've got the Perfect 6, the Straight 8, and the Sweet 16. They're made out of a lightweight food-grade plastic that's super durable. And also, it's kind of hard to see here, but each pocket has a little flap in the top, and that can be folded over the top of your products to hold them in while you're traveling, or tucked behind your product, which makes it really easy to pull them in and out of the pocket when you're working with them at home. And again, there's some new videos going up about the storage pages. But if you search around our website, there are already some great videos that really go through the products step by step and product by product. Now, there's also a shopping list that you can download off the website, and it's right there on the same page, on the home page. So if you want to download the shopping list, and then you can go through and look at each product and sort of check it off as you see it. If you have questions, that makes it easy to kind of know where you are in the process. We do have 5 different specialty storage pages. And so across the top, the embellishment page, and that is a double-sided page. It has 12 pockets on each side, and it's designed for heavier, bulkier embellishments, things that you're going to fill into a Ziploc bag and put the little Ziploc bag in the pocket. Side loader single is 12.5 by 12.5, a little bit heavier fabric, again, than the basic storage pages, and it'll hold, 10 to 25 sheets of cardstock. And the wraparound ribbon and fiber board, that's what I've been trying to get to. We've been answering those ribbon and fiber questions. So if you take your ribbon and fiber and just wrap them around that card, you can see there's maybe a dozen or so ribbons and fibers on this card, and then you just slip it into the side loader single pocket page. Now you're able to see all those ribbons and fibers. These would obviously be in your rainbow section under blue, but if you had all your Christmas ribbons and fibers wrapped around, then that would go in your Christmas section. So it makes them visible and accessible, and we had that question about them getting bunched up and crinkly, and this keeps them from getting bunched up and crinkly. And because it's about 12 inches long, it also indicates to you that you do have enough for whatever you want to do. So there's nothing more frustrating than thinking you're going to run 12 inches of ribbon across the bottom of a page, and when you pull it off this spool, there's only 8 inches left, so you can't use it for what you were going to use it with. So this kind of indicates how many or how much ribbon you've got. It comes with little fiber clips so that you can clip the ends together. The card is plastic coated on it, and I actually use repositionable glue dots to hold my ends down on some of them. On the ribbons, I use the clips because the flat ribbon works great with the clips, but on some of the other kind of crazy fibers, I just use a repositionable glue dot, and I'm done with it. I just peel it off the card. On the bottom, we have the cutting, cartridge, and supply storage page, and so you can see there's one picture there where you see the Cricut booklets and overlays are in the pocket, and then a couple of cartridges in the other pocket. So each pocket holds 2. So 2 booklets, 2 overlays in the long pocket, and cartridges in the small square pocket. Just below that, there's an illustration of what that pocket's capable of in terms of using it to go somewhere. So if you're going to a crop or class and you want to take your inks or your chalks or pens or things that are bulky, that pocket works great for those things as well. And then finally, we have the project planner page. These come in packs of 5. That's a double-sided page. So the back side has a 12 by 12 pocket for your paper or your 12 by 12 stickers. The front side has 3 smaller pockets. And again, all of these items are on the website, so you can see more of them and how they work. And to find any of them, if you just go to the shopping page here, and then you can just click on whichever thing that you want, that you want to do some research on. So if we go to pages, there's a video in general about the pages, but then you can actually click into each of these things. So the cutting page, if you wanted more details on that, there's a bigger picture there of what that works and how it works, and then there's a little video. So hopefully those will be able to answer questions for you as well. So those are the specialty pages. And then dividers are used, obviously, to separate out your categories on the scrap rack. They're a little bit larger than the pages, which means it protects all the edges and corners of your products. You should use 3 of them per binder. They do help with page stability. They come in packs of 5 or 15. The travel pack is the easy way to take things off your scrap rack and put them into a tote to take them with you to a crop or class. So it comes in a variety of colors, but it's a little bit longer and a little bit wider than any other product that's similar on the marketplace, so that when you put your pages in, and you can see in the center picture, there's an empty binder in that mounted on the Velcro there. But there's enough room so you're not going to zip products into the edges, into the corners. When you pull the zipper around, things don't curl up in the corner. You can actually put 3 binders in there. A travel pack is going to come with 1 binder, but it'll actually hold 3. And then it's the pen loop panel, and underneath the pen loop panel, you're going to find a place to store your paper trimmer. The one in the middle shows an add-on piece, which is that clear zippered pocket. You can buy that little pocket and add that on if it's something that you need. It comes with some sample pages and a shoulder strap as well. It comes in a variety of colors. And the handles are on the top of this. So many of these types of bags have the handle on the side. And so once you zip it up and you pick it up from that handle on the side, anything that's in the pockets would dump out. Well, our handles are on the top. So anything that's in your pockets, whether it's in the pockets of the tote itself or in your scrap rack page, storage page pockets, they're carrying straight up and down. So you don't have to worry about spilling things out. So this is what it looks like. And you can see over on the right side the big gap between the edge of the dividers and the edge of the notebook. And so when you actually fold that notebook closed and those pages move over, you still have plenty of room around the zipper so that you're not catching things in the zipper with the travel pack. And the crop crate apron is a great way to be able to take your scrap rack to a crop. And so this picture in the bottom left corner just shows what that tote looks like. It's available at Office Depot. It's like $20. They go on sale quarterly for like $16.50 or something. just a collapsible file tote. And then we make the apron that goes around it, which is what you see in the top picture, the aprons with the corresponding travel pack colors. But the pockets on the outside allow you to load up just your basic pens and tools. And then the whole scrap rack will actually fit inside the tote. And when you get to a crop or class, you take it out of the tote, put the lid back on the tote, and that center picture on the bottom shows an actual scrap rack totally set up on the tote. So if we're going to a crop, it makes it really easy to take everything with you and have it right there at chair height, and you're not taking up any space on your table at the crop with your scrapbooking supplies. And then I think this is the last slide, how to shop, and so we kind of touched on that already. When you go to the website, each of the departments under shopping is going to break down each of the different components that I've sort of talked about. And most of them have a little video, or the general category has a little video to help there too. But we do have an 800 number. It's on the website if you want to call us, or you can email us at customerservice@thescraprack.com, and we're totally happy to answer questions for you at over the phone or via email. And again, I'm going to direct you to the Facebook group if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you want a question answered. There's usually somebody awake and on Facebook that's part of the group. So there's people on that group from all over the world, so hopefully if you have a question and you need a quick answer, there'll be somebody who can get to you right away rather than waiting for us to answer the phone, return a call, or return an email. So just a quick reference for all of that stuff. So I'm going to go back now to the question pane and finish answering some of those questions that I didn't get to. So if you have questions, please feel free to continue to type them in. Let's see if I can find where I left off here. Let's see. I have Levi Board Perry says, hi, it's Levi from CK Lancaster. We spoke at the Scrapbook Girl booth. You've changed my crafting life. Thanks. You're so welcome, Levi. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad we're helping you with your crafting. Candy Ford says, my delivery just now came from my page sale order. Woo woo. Pat says, are there PowerPoint page printouts for next week? When I printed out the workbook, there were only PowerPoint pages for Challenge 1. I just need to review the slides, Pat, and then I'll get them up there. So they should post up maybe over the course of the next week. They'll be available. Kelly says, so is my goal not to put everything into one room? Is it just to make my themes list? You have a whole list of goals for this week, Kelly, and both of those things are on it. So if you had a chance to download the workbook, there's a checklist right there on the last page of today's workbook that gives you your challenge where you can actually check things off. But you're going to create just to recap what y'all are going to do this week for your weekly challenge. Oh, and I forgot to say, we give away a prize every week for people who are working on the challenge. So in order to qualify for the prize drawing, all you have to do is post up on Facebook that you've done your challenge or that you're working on your challenge. So as long as you're making progress, you're eligible for the prize drawing. Or if you don't want to do Facebook, and I know a lot of people are not into Facebook thing, you can email customerservice@thescraprack.com and just put in the subject line challenge progress post, and just put a quick little note to Joanna that says, I got my challenge done, or I'm working on my challenge, or I've done 2/3 of the challenge, or whatever it is. And when we get that email from you, that'll get you in, and it's all on an honor system, ladies. So so when we get that email for you, your name will go into the drawing. And then every week we do a drawing, which is why the PowerPoint slides aren't up, because I can't post the PowerPoint slides because we have a little slide in there. This week's winner is. So now that's all coming together for why that's not up. But so you want to definitely get in on the prize drawing. We give away a gift certificate every week. So please post up your progress either on the Facebook challenge group or post your progress on by sending us an email. If you are a Facebooker, if you can go in and like the Scrap Rack, everybody tells me that that's a really important part of the whole Facebook thing. So I'm going to click back here. And so we actually have a Facebook page right here, the Scrap Rack. So if you like us on the Scrap Rack page. That's an important thing for Facebook. I don't know how it all works, but everybody says you need to get everybody to like you on Facebook. So please like us on Facebook. So there's my pitch for that. Oh, and I'm sorry. See, I get distracted, Kelly. Okay, so your goals this week: big benefits board, read the 4-section system article, create your themes index, gather your supplies all together in one room or space, set your purge goals, evaluate your space, join the 2011 Get Organized Challenge group on Facebook, and complete the Set Yourself Up for Success checklist. So those are the things that you need to do. And I will send out an email with the challenge, with this week's challenge checklist on the email also. So if for some reason you don't want to download that workbook, you can get it off the email. Okay. Christina says, thanks again, Tiffany. Maybe this time I will finish. LOL. Gail says, this webinar has been a tremendous help to me. Just the theme list alone will get me off to a good start. Thanks so much for making this available. I'm anxious to see your product demonstrated. You're so welcome, Gail. Joyce says, how do I determine how much or what package to buy when I begin with the Scrap Rack system? So it's kind of one of those things that's sort of dictated for a lot of people by budget, and then the second sort of dictator is how much supplies you have. So once you sort of get your brain around the 4-section system and how it's going to work for you, you can kind of make an evaluation of, which package should I start with. And one of the things that I don't want you to do is overwhelm yourself with lots and lots of stuff that just ends up piled up in your room. So it's almost better to start with sort of one of the medium packages that you can actually use everything in the package right away, get used to it, choose the pages that you like the best or that you like the most, and then reorder those pages sort of as you go along. One thing I didn't mention about the Scrap Rack is that one of our design philosophies for the Scrap Rack is that the basic design will never change. We'll be in business for 10 years next March. If we made something 10 years ago, it still works with what we're making today. So we've kept everything really standardized. So we're never gonna introduce something that doesn't work with something that you already have, or it forces you to buy a new system or a new whatever. It's always going to all work together. The only thing that really changes is the colors of the travel packs, I guess. So, but what that means is you can start with the system and you can just add components as you need them. You don't have to reinvent your organization system all the time. So what has happened in the past for people is they buy a box or bin or drawer or tote and then they fill it up, and then they go back to buy another one, and that manufacturer doesn't make that anymore. So then they buy a whole new sort of organization setup, and they put everything in that organization setup and get rid of the old one. And then as their craft evolves and they need something different, and they have to throw out that tool and go get something else. And so the Scrap Rack is designed to stay consistent. So as long as whatever you're bringing in and whatever sort of craft you're using, you're able to sort of integrate it all into that 4-section system. So I would definitely, if you're thinking of going with a package, I would say one of the medium-sized packages is definitely the way to go. And once you get it filled up, then add either another package or individual components as you need them. All right, let's see. Anna says she can't see anything, so I'm hoping that the rest of you see my screen. It says that you can see my screen on my side of the program here. How would you categorize something that fit in 2 areas? For example, mom as a calendar, spring, or as a theme, mothers. So I would put it into Mother's Day, which is going to fall into spring. So within some categories, you may have other categories, and this is a perfect example. So behind your spring tab, you might have general spring, then Easter, then Mother's Day, because all of those things are going to work together. The flowers, the butterflies, the colors, whatever, that are traditional for spring are traditional for Mother's Day also. So all of those products are going to work together. And if you're working on a family page and you think, I need something for mother, then again, it's easy for your brain to go, oh, that would be in Mother's Day, Father's Day, whatever it is. So, so you really, once you start thinking about it, it'll tie together very sensibly as you start considering themes. And remember, we've been brainwashed by the industry for the last 15 years that we have to separate things out, that we have to have different containers for different kinds of products, and it's just not true. And I'll go back to the silverware drawer analogy. If you're able to keep things together that you would use together, they'll be faster and easier to use and easier to find. So, and you'll buy things, you won't be duplicating things. One of the nice things about the scrap rack, which you can use everything that I'm going to talk about in this challenge series without a scrap rack, but one of the nice things about the scrap rack is because it's so easy to flip through, that you're constantly seeing visibly, getting an eye full of all the products that you have, which really helps when you go to buy new products, because if you're looking for things for soccer, there's a fresher picture in your mind as the last time you flipped through your sports section and saw all the soccer things that you have. Or you can quickly flip through that soccer section before you go to the scrapbook store, or take it off your scrap rack and throw it in your travel pack and take it with you to the scrapbook store. So you're buying products that complement rather than duplicate what you already own. So the 4-section system, there are just numerous benefits to it in every aspect, from being able to do things quickly to being able to shop more efficiently and buy more efficiently. So I got on another little tangent there. I hope I answered your question, Melanie. Susan says, are you a psychic? Recently received your email about your workshop, so first time here. So excited. Just happened to be in the middle of major reorganization. Really need help. Can't wait to check out everyone's ideas and future workshops. Thanks. You're so welcome, Susan. I'm so glad that you're with us. One of the really cool things is that the concepts and the philosophies and the ideas that we're going to talk about over the next 8 weeks can be really generalized into your home. And so as you start to think about organization differently, so I keep going back to those January magazines where they keep telling us to containerize things, put things in boxes and stick them on shelves or bury them in closets. When you start to think more about how you use things and what things you use them with, so let's talk about linens, right? So if you have your linens in the linen closet and you have your sheets, your fitted sheets, and then your flat sheets, and then your pillowcases, right? When you're going to reset the bed, you have to grab from those 3 or 4 piles, okay? So, and when you put them away, you have to put them away in 3 or 4 piles. But if you take your linens and you put your pillowcases and your flat sheets together, and then you fold your other sheet around it, so you have your fitted and your pillowcases, and then you wrap your flat sheet around it. Now when you go to get those sheets out of the linen closet, you can just pull them straight off the shelf and be on your way to remake a bed. You haven't had to gather a few different things. You can presumably do it with one hand. So that's the great theory, right? Some people even will take a pillowcase and stuff their sheets and pillowcases into a pillowcase and then be able to grab that whole set. Now, I'm not big on that because then you're putting something into something that you have to take it out of to use it. So I just wrap the sheet around or fold it around my other ones. But if you start thinking about organization and taking a step further and keeping these together you would use together, you're going to use the sheets for your son's twin bed only on your son's twin bed. So why are they in the linen closet when presumably you could just put them in the bottom drawer of his dresser, and then when you need to change his linens, you're in his room, you pull the old linens off, you go to the bottom drawer of his dresser and put the new linens on. You don't have to go down the hall or down into the laundry room or wherever you store your linens. So as you start to think about how things are organized and then how you use them, it's really easy to make these leaps that become very simple. The other thing is, with the sheet thing, now my kids can put their own linens away. So when I fold their bed linens, I put them on the dryer with their stacks of clothes, and then they put their bed linens in the bottom drawer, right? My kids are too old for me to change their beds. They're 14 and 16. Every Friday they change their linen, whatever. But it's right there in their bottom drawer where it belongs, and so it's easy for them to do that. So once you start thinking about, I know, look, can you tell how excited I get? Organization, for some reason, it just thrills me. So, but once you start thinking about how you organize things, whether it's your scrapbooking supplies, your kitchen, your game cabinet, your laundry, your linen, whatever it is, once you start thinking differently about it, you're going to find all these really easy shortcuts that make things easier across the board. And when things are easier, they get done. Not only do they free up time, but they actually get done. It's when we make things difficult or we over-manage things and they become difficult that we don't actually get things done. So, all right. Sorry, another tirade. Prepare yourself, ladies, for another 7 weeks of tirade. Melanie says, will you be in the Mall of America this weekend with Scrap Fest? No, they wouldn't let us in. So go into your archiver store in Mall of America and say, why isn't the Scrap Rack here? Why isn't Tiffany teaching an organization class here at the Mall of America? They wouldn't let us in. Lucy McKenzie says, you are amazing. You thought of everything. Well, thank you, Lucy. Can you convince my teenage boys that I'm amazing? That would be great. Gail says, is your product available in stores or just online? It is in some small stores. We are not in any of the big stores. It's definitely available online, and we do a number of the scrapbook conventions and shows, so you might find us at a local show also. Deborah says, I'm a wannabe paper crafter as I have accumulated tons of stuff from various life interruptions, just haven't started. I live in a very small one-bedroom apartment, so I'm looking forward to this whole seminar to aid me in actually getting to be a paper crafter and not a wannabe. Thanks so much for offering this information, Tiffany. And you are so welcome. And I'm telling you, Deborah, I know I kind of already talked about this, but once things are easy to get to and you're not just buried at the thought of I need to figure out how to organize these things instead of use them, then you will be a paper crafter and it will make more sense about doing little things. But the other thing I really want to stress, to talk about a little bit, is practice being a paper crafter. And by virtue of practicing it, you will actually be a paper crafter. So even challenge yourself today. Say, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to go in my little space and I'm going to make one card. Or actually, go in your little space and make your big benefits board. Become a paper crafter today by making your big benefits board. And whenever you think to yourself, I want to do that, or I want to be this, or whatever, then the next thought I want, because I'm sorry for this, but I'm going to plant these goofy thoughts in your head, and unfortunately, you may hear that my little voice for the rest of your life. But whenever you say, I want to be that, or I want to do that, then the next thing I want you to pop in your head is, okay, I'm going to start practicing that right now. So whatever it is, I want to be a paper crafter. I want to be more patient. I want to be better at taking out the garbage at 5 o'clock. Then that little thought is going to pop in your head. Okay, to do that, you have to start practicing it. Start practicing it now. One of the things that really bothers me about New Year's resolutions is that we wait till January 1st to make them. So, so we procrastinate, we put off all these things. But if you start changing again the way you think, we've been trained to make a New Year's resolution, right? Every magazine, every TV show, every whatever says make your New Year's resolution. Why do you need to wait to New Year's? Make your resolution today. I saw this great poster the other day, and it was just black and white, and it said, start where you are. And I thought to myself, that is so true. If you just start where you are, it's so much easier because there's no procrastination. There's nothing to slow you down. So start where you are, practice what you want to be, and you will be that paper crafter, Deborah. Okay, Linda says, are there any sales for the scrap rack and are there supplies? We have 3 sales. We have 2 free shipping sales. That's Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, National Scrapbook Day, which is the first Saturday in May. And so that'll get you free shipping anywhere in the continental United States. If you're somebody that's out of the country, there's a shipping discount on those days. So you still get to save quite a bit on your shipping. And then we have, which just happened a couple weeks ago, the Stock Up and Save sale. And that happens right at the end of August, same time that all the Stock Up and Save sales happen for socks and underwear, back to school kind of thing. And then we do occasionally run a promotion. But in terms of annual sales that you can count on and depend on, the 2 free shipping days and then the Stock Up and Save sale. Karen said, you mentioned you are writing a book. When will that be available? I'm not sure when it will be available, but if I self-publish it, it'll probably be available much sooner. And so right now I'm just doing a little bit of research on how to publish an ebook and get it like onto Kindle or something, and then I can do it myself, and it'll be less expensive and all of those good things. So hopefully it'll be something that I can actually make it at least an ebook by January. So, of course, like everybody else, I'm going to roll out my Get Organized book in January when people are setting their New Year's resolutions. So that's my goal. I wrote it down, and it's on my refrigerator, so hopefully we'll see that in January. But a lot of what I'm working on right now is anecdotal evidence. So, ladies, if you are somebody who's been participating and using these ideas and you have a specific event or I need little stories from real people about one specific application or one specific little event that happened around organizing. if you want to send those to me or email those to me, I may be able to use them in the book because that's the part that I'm working on right now. Betty says, I'm so excited to get organized. Thanks for getting me started. You're so welcome. I'm excited that you're getting organized too. Let's see. Madeline says, I live in a mobile home and truly enjoy this so far. Thanks from Madeline in Texas. You're so welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Kim says, have you ever come to the convention in Texas, specifically Woodlands? I've checked the last couple of years and haven't seen you there. Are you considering coming here? I'm not sure who puts it on, but it would be nice to see you. The Woodlands, Texas show is probably the Texas show that we will do next year. We have not done it. We've done the Arlington show, and we have done I can't remember the other one. It's south of Arlington. The Woodlands show is the Creating Keepsakes show, and it's probably going to be our Texas show this year. Our show schedule for 2012 will come out November, December. They've just released a new show date, so now we have to sign our contracts and make our plan. But those should be up on the website within the next, I would say, by the end of November, beginning of December. Linda says, I'm attending this seminar during my lunch. Will other sessions be more than an hour and a half? Yes and no. This one's a long one because there's so many questions and because we do the little scrap rack presentation at the end. Our goal is always to have them within an hour, but it just depends on the number of questions that we get. So I totally understand there are a lot of people who try to squeeze it in during their lunch hour. The actual slideshow presentation is always right around an hour, and then the questions are what sort of continues on. But please know that you can watch the recorded version even later today. It usually gets posted up pretty quickly, and then you can go in and just watch the recorded version when you have time. So I apologize that we're taking up your entire lunch hour or hour and a half with that. Janet says, will you be addressing how to organize bigger things like tattered angel sprays with on a stamps or acrylic paint? Sorry if you've already talked about it. I joined late. Yes, we will. We will talk about all of those things and how to integrate big, bulky things like wooden block stamps and stickles into a system where what your brain is able to find those things quickly and easily by following through with the same sorts of concepts, so they will all come up. Libby says, Abraham Lincoln said, the best thing about the future is that it only comes one day at a time. I think that fits your advice perfectly. Yes, I like that. I might have to post that one up. Linda says, why not run a promotion for those of us who are just learning about the scrap rack organizing and have signed up for the course? Well, Linda, that is a nice suggestion, and maybe I'll do that. Let me write it down on my little pad here. If we did a special promo, keep my little, I do have an email list that's just people who signed up for the course. So watch your email. I'll kind of take a look at our calendar and see if there was any reason not to do it, and then you may see a little coupon code. Thanks for bringing that up at the bottom of the email that comes out for everybody that's on the group today. Shelley says, since you always get a rush of sales when you do the webinars, I do hope that the warehouse is well stocked and your employees are ready for the influx of business that will be coming your way. So Shelley's been with us for a few webinars, so she's seen the madness that happens. But I think we're in really good shape. Now, we do have our next order comes in December or early January, but we just got loaded up with products, so we should be great. And Shelley says, I also get really impatient when I have to wait for sold out items since I get so excited to organize. So thank you, Shelley, and thank you for your support. Shelley's been with us for a long time. It's great. It's great to have people on board like you. Deborah says, hi, thought I had missed it. Well, welcome, Deborah. We're glad that you're here. I'm just getting ready to wrap up. It looks like we're at the end of the question session, so everybody's questions have been answered. Now, I do have a little caveat here. The question pane is kind of weird and it's hard to scroll through, so hopefully I didn't miss anybody, although in the past I have missed a few questions here and there, so please feel free to email us at customerservice@thescraprack.com, and we're happy to answer those questions. But get on Facebook if you're a Facebook person and join the Get Organized Challenge group. Get busy on your challenges. I will send out an email with a checklist of all the things that you're supposed to be doing this week and all the details, and that usually comes out later in the day, but you should have it by tomorrow morning. We'll get the webinar recording posted and the website, so if you need to rewatch it, you can certainly do that. And I think that's it, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I look forward to working with you over the course of the next 8 weeks. And don't forget to post your progress so that if you so that you can get into the drawing and maybe win a Scrap Rack gift certificate. And I think that's it. So I'm going to hit the stop recording button at this moment.